E is the letter of the day, and 42 is the number that we're talking about. You want to know what those mean? Stay tuned next. Breaking Into is coming.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Lives. Breaking Into.
I love it. Real drums, like real music.
It's amazing.
And the strings. I mean, it's just, this song is so
And then her voice
good.
comes and it's so just beautiful.
I know. Welcome to Breaking Into. We're talking about Solange because we love her, and her album "Seat at the Table" was really good. Was it a couple years ago? It came out last year. It was like
Beginning of 2017.
yeah, it's like that. So we're going. This year's going by fast.
I still play it like it's new.
Me too. I do too. We are back, and I have a great guest for you today. Now, I mentioned a letter and a number. We're going to talk about that in a second, what that means. I went a little Sesame Street on you today with E and 42. My guest today is affecting change in the world, which is what I love having these kind of guests on my show. They're doing things and giving back to their community. Makes me happy. I'm so glad. She's the executive director of the 42 Initiative, also known as Club 42. We're going to talk about what that is, what that means, what she does there. She's also an on-camera sports person, too, as an analyst. So she knows what it's like to be on camera like I do. And she's also a former NCAA Division student athlete. You played softball, correct?
I did.
Wrong, girl.
Fast pitch softball.
Woo! We're going to talk about that, too, because I almost said something. We're going to talk about that, too. They call her E, but her name is Coach Erin Wesley Jones. Or Jones Wesley. Right,
Jones Wesley.
I like three names. I have three names, too, James Lott Jr.
I love it.
You are interesting, because I was reading up about you, and reading about just going back into your beginnings of just being the athlete.
Right.
You hold. You said it says you hold the record for a career pitching record. So what does that mean exactly?
So for all 4 years that I played at Long Beach State, I have the record for wins, appearances, and strikeouts.
Wow.
So my favorite of that, by the way, is wins, because I feel like with strikeouts and appearances, yeah, that's me. I was on the mound doing my thing. But with wins, that means that it was like really a team effort.
Yeah.
And I had such great teammates my 4 years of college. Like honestly, all of those girls were, it was really fun. It was fun times and everyone was really good.
Shout out to the girls.
Yeah.
Shout out to the girls at Long Beach State.
Made my job easy and had some fun times.
So with the team, it really, because I always say playing sports is a great way to learn a lot about yourself in life, period. So your team, you guys really worked collectively together? So when you played your games, you played? Definitely.
So on a softball team, you have about 18 girls. 9 are on the field at a time. And what makes it kind of different than baseball is typically when you have a starting pitcher, you're sticking with them throughout every single game. So there were times we play 5 games in a weekend, 3 games sometimes in a day in travel ball, and we're spending all of this time playing together, and you go through a lot of adversity with people, and to be able to kind of be the centerpiece as a pitcher, you're setting the tone. So if things aren't going your way, you can't really act like things aren't going your way, because everyone else will pick up on that energy. So I think that was a really kind of great life lesson that has transferred outside of sports at this point, of just like being able to really control my own energy, but then also be aware of what other energy is in the world. So as a pitcher, you're staring down a batter, right? And they literally want you to fail. You're facing someone who wants you to fail one-on-one, and you can feel when they're going to swing no matter what. You can feel when they are hoping that you aren't going to do it. And sometimes what I think is the biggest lesson I've learned is you can do something perfectly as a pitcher. I would throw a pitch sometimes when I felt was right down the middle, but even objectively, probably still a strike. And an umpire can just say, nope, that's not where I want it. And that's a life lesson. Sometimes you can feel like you're doing something so well, and sometimes it's not on you to decide. It's on someone else to decide. And how do you deal with that? And then how do you say, okay, I have 60 seconds to get over it. 60 seconds, and I have to throw the next pitch.
Yeah.
You have to go to the next moment. So really living like in that moment-to-moment scenario, dealing with adversity, and then really trying to uplift others around you, even when you're struggling. I think that was the most powerful lesson I learned from softball.
So you had to be really present.
Super present.
Which is a good life lesson period also.
Totally.
In relationships, in school, in life, and driving, or whatever, you have to be really present.
And acknowledging what's going on in this situation. I just see this person swing in this certain way. Do I want to throw the pitch that's getting called, or do I want to call an audible and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm seeing something that maybe no one else can see? And having a lot of confidence. You have to have a ton of confidence.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure.
But it was such learning lessons all the way. I think it has completely shaped the way I am, and I say that I see the world as a pitcher still to this day.
Well, it's funny. I played baseball one season when I was 9 years old. And that's I've only played it. I don't follow baseball or softball, but I played it once, and I did see the team effort, and that you can't be a star because everybody has their part. They have to play in it,
and it's extremely humbling.
Yes,
you could. Baseball and softball, these are sports where you're failing 70% of the time and you're successful. That's success.
Right.
Imagine if your doctor failed 70% of the time.
We'd be dead.
Yeah, you're not going to the doctor.
No.
These are, you watch MLB, these guys are batting 300, 30% they're right.
Yeah.
And they're making millions of dollars, and they're heroes. They're sports heroes.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to really deal with failure and not let that just control you, I think that is why baseball is such a great sport. And that's kind of, to segue, I'm kind of getting ahead of us, but that's why I think it's so great that we're kind of implementing baseball in these urban areas. And we're seeing lots of nonprofits do this. We have worked with a lot of nonprofits in the past who also have this similar mission to, help revive baseball in the inner city. But I think that it's something to have resiliency. It's a really important trait for youth to have this days.
No, I'm glad you said it now. It's fine. We're talking Club 42 and its intricacies, a little bit. But you're right. I think sports, art, music, writing, urban areas need all of that. And also, I interviewed on my show here Ron Finley, who's the gardening gangsta, they call him. He's in South Central, and he's planting gardens, teaching kids how to garden.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, what you guys are all doing is stuff that we should be doing in our own communities.
Definitely.
Because it teaches us life lessons.
And I think you don't always realize how something so small, it seems like, oh, who cares? Gardening.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But there's all of these things in everything we do that teaches lessons along the way. And then also just collaborating with others who are also like-minded. You can find so many different career paths that maybe you didn't know existed. For all you know, someone could now own a landscaping company because they learned about gardening one time.
Right. That's a question I've always wanted to ask, because I've never asked this before anybody who's been a pitcher. What is the relationship between you and the catcher?
You know what? It's the most interesting relationship.
I'm sure.
Because they're the only position on the diamond where they can see everyone.
Okay.
They see everyone else on the field.
Okay.
And so they kind of are like your eyes and ears. Your back as a pitcher is to everyone else.
Yes.
So sometimes you have to really trust in your catcher that what they see is different than what you feel. Because as a pitcher, it's very intuitive. But as a catcher, they have a little intuition as well. But
they're seeing
everything.
Right.
So to really trust someone, you have to really trust your catchers. And, usually you have, they call it a battery, or like a tandem. And I was really fortunate that I was very close with my catchers in college. Okay. And even growing up with high school and club softball, you have to trust your catchers.
Yeah.
And also, the catcher's the only person that's going to say, you don't have your stuff. And you're not going to be offended. Because they know when you don't have your stuff.
Yeah, well, and our engineer, producer of the show, Marissa, was a catcher, she said. That's really funny. That's so interesting. And I know we don't normally do this, but Marissa, I just want to ask you a question. So, what she's saying, does that sound about right for you as a catcher?
Absolutely, because one of the first things my coach told me was that I had to do everything that the pitcher couldn't do or couldn't see. Yeah. And because, just like she says, that her back is turned to everybody, so I had to look at the 3 points as first, second, and third base. Wow. I had to always catch that because the pitcher couldn't.
Wow.
And they're calling the pitches. They're calling the game.
Yeah.
So the catcher's saying, you're throwing this right now. And so if you guys aren't in sync, there were times where the catcher would call something. I could feel the batter doing whatever little twitch they had. Yeah. And then we could make eye contact and say, we're changing this mid-pitch.
Yes.
And they'd be like, I didn't call that. I saw something. They're like, it worked out.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask. I've never asked that before. Now it completely makes sense to me. Because you're facing this way, feeling the energy in front of you, but they literally just can see everything that's going on.
It's crazy. And you know what? I still have yet to find something in life that feels the same as striking someone out. I haven't found
no feeling.
There's no feeling to describe it, and I I haven't yet. Maybe I will. Someone told me that when I start getting into doing major deals, deal flow is close to doing strikeouts.
Yes.
So that's yet to be determined, but I haven't found it. Striking someone out feels awesome. It's like mini victories.
No, I'm
right?
sorry. Hey, take our victories where we can get them. I'm all about that. I'm totally about that. Okay, so where did softball come into your life? How old were you when it came into your life and the whole sports thing?
Well, I believe the story is that I was at a baseball field, I think 6 weeks after I was born. My dad was a baseball player.
Okay.
He actually played at Long Beach State as well. My parents met there.
Wow.
So I didn't pick up softball till I was about 7.
Okay.
And by the time I was 8, I realized that, hey, pitching's really cool. And there were softball was on ESPN at that time as well.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Yeah, and there was a pitcher from LSU, this girl named Brittany Sneed. I still remember. And she
Brittany.
had hey girl. And she had a long, straight ponytail, and she wore like really cool mascara. And I was like, I need to be a pitcher. That's it. And then, of course, you have like Jenny Finch, who is just like amazing,
Yeah.
and Lisa Fernandez, and all of these wonderful pitchers. But really, it was this pitcher from LSU who just,
Wow.
I loved her vibe. And so I wanted to become a pitcher because of that. And I was awful. So bad. I would walk batters. I hit 7 batters in one game one time. I remember it got to the point where I kept practicing. My parents never told me I was awful. They were just like, oh, you want to pitch? Oh, she wants to practice.
okay.
They just let me do my thing.
Okay.
My teammates, I'd go in the game, they'd roll their eyes, or I go, now we're going to lose because Erin's pitching. But you know what? I took it very seriously. I left the rec ball league that I was playing in. I started becoming more competitive at it because although pitching maybe was not initially my forte, I could, I was athletic. I could do everything else on the field. So I started playing travel ball. And when I came back for high school and I was with the girls from my area, they literally said, you still pitch? And I'm like, yeah, I still pitch. Yeah. At that time, I was good. So I'm like,
okay, I do.
Y'all don't know. Of course I still pitch. So by the time I got to be in about 13, 14, I really started hitting my stride as a pitcher. And I had really great coaches that kind of helped along the way. And I actually was a part of a travel ball team that I think we had like 8 to 10 black girls on the team.
Wow.
And that is really rare in softball.
Wow.
And there were times where we could do a whole black infield at once.
Wow.
And our head coach was a black woman.
Wow.
And it was really, really special.
Yeah, sure.
I'm still friends with those girls to this day. And I think that we all kind of, at the time as kids, you don't realize how special of an opportunity that was. But we all had father figures that were present, that were showing up, both of our parents at these games.
Yeah.
And a lot of those friends were also D1 softball players, D1 athletes, and I would play them in college. And some of them have records at their schools as well.
Wow.
So I think that it kind of just showed that, one, it made it less isolating in a sport where it's, predominantly white at least like Latino as well. There's not a lot of black girls and there's not a lot of black pitchers.
Wow.
And so to have teammates that kind of looked like me, I think really shaped the confidence that we all had and what our abilities were.
Well, I want to say, you bring up, it's very timely you should say that. We're on Black Hollywood Lives, we get a little blacker on here. And no, it's timely because I just talked with my brother about Black Panther and how, what it's changing the conversation for black people. Because you're saying, I keep forgetting, there are black folks coming to this who don't watch Marvel films now. They're coming to see this. It's more of a black thing. And I said, the only way I can relate it to is going to the Caribbean and going to certain islands where the government's black, everyone's working there is black. Like you said, it feels like it's just something different where you just feel you're not the minority at all. You're part of the majority for a change.
Absolutely. And I think that there's kind of this like consciousness that as kids, like I grew up in a predominantly white suburb. Okay. So I was used to being the only black kid in my class, and that was what I grew up in. So I didn't even really have a lot of like black friends until I joined the softball team, which is so ironic because it's softball.
Right.
It's not like it was like a basketball team.
I was gonna say, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a softball team. So I think that really shaped my ability to see when I was the only one, but then also I didn't feel like there was the weight that sometimes other kids may have, because I knew that I could go and see my friends and they would we'd have cultural understanding of one another. But I think being able to kind of be able to balance both cultures. I mean, I have white grandparents.
Okay.
My dad was a part of a program kind of similar to my nonprofit, where they brought kids from the inner city and they went up to the valley. And so to this day, I still have my Nana and my grandpa.
That was me too. Busing, back then, busing,
Yes.
desegregation.
Yep. So
Yes.
I still have my Nana and my grandpa. So for me to have kind of both angles, and then to see something like Black Panther, where it shows just nothing but one race just leading and being, it was such a powerful movie to see.
Yeah.
So special. It just was so special. And I think that the times are really changing in a way where like young Black kids can really just kind of see more representation in media. And I feel like I'm not even that old, but I know that times have already changed. Like for nieces and nephews and little cousins, I'm like, they're growing up in a different time. That seems so like your hair's not different. You don't have to feel like isolated, like, oh, I wish that this was true. You know, I remember actually, I thought about this morning, and I don't know, this is probably not appropriate to share, but I'm going to share it. There were times when I played softball, and I remember thinking, because it would be cold, so I'd have my Under Armour sleeves on, and my batting helmet, there's a cage to protect your face, and batting gloves, and I'd say, I wonder if the umpire can tell that I'm Black right now, in my head.
Interesting.
I would think that. And you know, not when I was on the team that had all of my Black friends, but on the teams when I was the only one. I wonder if they can tell that I'm still the only one right now.
Right.
And I think that is where representation becomes so important, because who cares if you're the only one? You're just standing up and being in your truth.
Wow, that's so interesting.
You know, and I think that to have that, even those like that consciousness of being like, I know that I'm different, but I don't think I'm being treated differently, but I would like to just know what it would be like if maybe there was no way to tell the difference. And I think when you see a world like Black Panther, that doesn't even exist.
Right.
Right? And that's what makes it special, is like it gives everyone the ability to kind of imagine a world where there was no, what do they call it, colonizers or nothing that got like, and I think that is really interesting.
I'm sorry, I want to ask Marissa. Marissa, ask you a question, please. Because you are Asian. Did you have a similar experience just playing softball?
Absolutely. I mean, I was the token Asian in my school, in grade school, high school, still also. Well, not so much in college, because fortunately in college, you know, you have a different type of minorities from everywhere. But definitely, and also on my softball team, I was the token Asian. But fortunately, the area I grew up in, they still treated me like I was Caucasian.
Interesting.
You know, there was still some equality there.
That's interesting. And so when you were playing catcher, I mean, because you're in all that get-up, could anybody tell you were Asian or no, you think?
No, I mean, it wasn't really addressed because I was catcher because I was good at it. Okay. And they put me in that position because I had earned it.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, that's good. That's because you brought that part. I was thinking, this is really interesting because you're playing in a field that's mostly white folks.
Right.
But you're really good, you're a person of color, and she's a person of color. It's just so fascinating to me.
I've looked up studies before because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making things up. And I actually, by the time I got to college, I did a lot of research, and I found some study that showed that for pitchers, there actually is a difference between the called strike, swinging strike ratio for Black pitchers.
Oh. Okay.
And how many called strikes end up happening. And it's kind of tough to see if called strikes are objective.
Right.
So you don't really know, but when it's so much lower, it begs the question, why?
Yeah.
And so I wanted a little bit of just justification of like feeling that way sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's what I was talking about, of just like having that resiliency of sometimes, you know, your best comes up to someone's own opinion. And how do you handle that, you know? It was really interesting. But, you know, for me, always growing up of being like, you're the whitest Black girl I know.
Yes.
So that was always the statement for me.
I just released a spoken word piece called You Don't Talk Black. That was my whole growing up. You talk vanilla. You're like an Oreo. I mean, I got called all the names. And I was like, I'm Black. Look at me. Look at my nose. But no, I always got all the time. And I wasn't I grew up in a black neighborhood, but it was still one of those things where I came from a multicultural family. It's like, you know, I had white folks and Latino and Black. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm who I am. So I don't always like to be the only Black this or one of the few Black that's. So you must know how it feels too then.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's what's so great about what's happening culturally in this country is like everyone's kind of shedding that and saying like, we don't care. I heard Ava DuVernay say an amazing quote the other day on Twitter of in an interview, and she was saying like, a lot of people don't want to say I'm a woman in film or I'm a black woman in film, but I want to be those things. I want someone to say that about me because that's the gaze I view the world. And I said, how special is that? That is the gaze that you view the world. And why are we wanting to shed all of our labels so that we can just be when we can just be? You don't have to add anything to be yourself. You yourself are special. So just be that.
Let me give you something. So when I was younger, I was told by some people, I don't think of you as black. And I thought it was a compliment at first.
Same.
When I got older, I realized it wasn't. And I said, no, think of me as black because it's not bad. Black isn't bad. So it's okay to see me as black. If you're not seeing me as black, it's because you think it's something bad.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
it's
just who I am. And that's okay.
Right, it's okay. That's fine. Leading to this, so at Long Beach State, did you get a full ride scholarship? Playing softball?
I did get a full ride scholarship.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a lot of work, but it takes a village. It takes pitching coaches and parents that are driving you to lots of travel ball games.
But did your dad do any, because he was a baseball player. I know softball's different style, but did he do any kind of coaching with you
My
or
dad,
mentoring?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. He drove me. Well, first of all, my mom and dad did not miss one college game that I played in. They went to every single one. We go to Hawaii, they were there. Arizona, they were there.
That's great.
They're
Parents,
really
that's great.
supportive, mom and dad.
Okay.
And my dad, growing up, he was catching every bullpen, and we would have our tiffs because we played different positions. He was a shortstop. I was a pitcher.
Okay.
And so, when you become a teenager, you don't know. Dad, I'm the pitcher, So I think that definitely made an interesting dynamic as I got older, but he definitely was my number one coach and taught me so much about the game. And that was really, really special. Yeah, I think that the reason why I'm able to speak about the game so well now, like as an analyst, is because I would get in the car after I played and we would talk about what we just saw. That person probably could have did X, Y, Z. They did that really well. What do you think happened there? And we would just have a really nice sports banner. And my family would do that on every sport. We do that for basketball, football. As soon as we're a sports family.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that really helped shape the way I view the game. Okay. And that was really special. Also, my pitching coach at the time, this guy, Don Sarno, who my dad and I, we would go drive to all the way to La Brea, off Brea.
Yes.
Yeah. And we were driving in Orange County, and I lived in the Inland Empire. So this is like a 45-minute hour drive.
Okay, Southern California.
Yeah, and driving after practice, I would leave softball practice and go to a direct pitching lesson, one-on-one. And my dad caught me and would leave work early and make sure that he was there so that I had someone who knew the game enough to tell me when what I was doing needed to be corrected and when things were really good. Yeah.
To go from the IE to OC, I will give your parents credit.
Yeah, they were.
That is dedication.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing though about my dad being aware of the game is that sometimes I would have a great pitching game, right? In college, when I was in high school, whatever, and I'd get in the car and he'd say, "They love you when you're doing well," and I would have a game when I didn't do well, and most parents, it's really hard to watch your kid not play well to their ability. And my parents would never yell and scream. I'd get in the car and they'd say, well, so I guess we're practicing this week.
I like that approach, yes.
Yeah, so we're just going to throw some bullpens, no big deal. Yeah. And also, it maybe didn't look that great, but you were throwing really hard. Or whatever the positive was.
Finding the positive part.
Yeah, so I never felt like berated for not having my best. And I think that allowed me to not be afraid to fail. Because when we're afraid to fail, then sometimes it limits our success. Yeah. And I never felt there was a limit to my success. Yeah. Because, whatever, if I mess up, who cares? There's something else to happen.
Right. Well, you mentioned it was a perfect segue because you do honor hosting for Big West Conference production, ESPN3.
Yes.
So how'd you get that gig? First of all, how'd that begin?
Well, as a college athlete at Long Beach, we had quite a few games that were broadcasted, and sometimes post-game interviews. I would pitch a great game. I'd, speak to the commentators at the time. And those in the conference realized that I kind of, had somewhat of a knack to being able to answer concisely. Mm-hmm. And right after I graduated, I interned and shadowed and followed some of the announcers that worked for the productions. And it kind of got to the point where, this is a great story. I didn't actually know that I was going to do color commentary. And I get a call at 8:30 a.m. a random Saturday. I'd been out of college almost 2 years. Erin, our analyst, is sick. Are you around? And I had a hair appointment, and I wasn't gonna tell them that.
Black girls and hair appointments.
I know, I wasn't gonna tell them.
Like, yes, right.
I wasn't gonna tell them I had a hair appointment, but I was supposed to get my hair redone.
Yes.
And I said, okay, well, I can be in Long Beach in an hour, and the call time was 9 o'clock. I got there, I think maybe like 9:15. I rushed down, and I announced the game, and I had never done that before, but someone was sick, and I just took the opportunity. I just said yes. And so then the following year, I got to do commentary for every game that they had broadcast. So I think there were 8, and I did all 8.
Girl, I'll tell you something. Why? I just celebrated 3 years here at this network. I just saw it last week. The reason why I'm here is someone went out of town. And I never hosted my title. I said, James, can you come on and guest host this show? And I never done my title, but like you just said yes.
Take your opportunities.
So, hello.
Take them.
That's what I say. Say yes.
And you know what? I think what also became really symbiotic is the girl who was doing the woman who was doing the announcing. She ended up she has a whole like catching empire.
Oh, wow.
She's just amazing softball businesswoman.
Yes.
So I think for her, it probably worked out fine that she was sick. I don't think that it skipped a beat. And for me, it allowed me to kind of have this new step into something I didn't even really realize. I knew I wanted to do it, but I hadn't had the opportunity, and I just jumped.
What is I always think it's because I watch football and stuff like that. It just seems so hard to me because you're live. I mean, I do live television, but I mean, you're live, catching every play, talking about it, giving your opinion part way. And I mean, how do you do it?
Well, first of all, my partner who does the play-by-play, he is amazing. He does stuff for the Angels. Like he's amazing.
Okay.
So
we'll give him a shout out.
Yeah, Trent Schlum, you're amazing.
Yes.
Trent Rush, he's on it. So he's really good. And so he allows me to really work through my learning curve.
Okay.
And I think initially the producers were like, Erin, we know you know what you're talking about. Just go. But to have the confidence to say what you think.
Yes.
It's all about the confidence. So I think that each game that I was hosting in the beginning, I think I got a little bit better each time and just more confident in saying what was going on. Yeah. Because at first, there were still girls I knew who were in the conference. So for me to say, I think that they could have made that play.
Sandra didn't really do a good job. This guy was like, hey, girl, we'll have drinks later. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the older I get, the easier it is because I'm a little bit further removed and I can kind of just like watch the game for what it is. Yes. But also, when I was a player, I would just sit, when it wasn't my turn pitching and I would sit, I would actually be commentating from the dugout. So I was kind of annoying. I'd be like, oh, this girl should be bunting right now. And my teammates were like, Erin, they're not on our team. We don't care that they're not bunting right now. I'm like, well, they should have done this. Like,
Your first of all, I just have to say, your energy is so infectious.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. I can see why people will be motivated by you. I totally get it.
Thank you.
Like, I want to play softball all of a sudden. And I've never had to play softball my entire life.
We'll make a league. The Black
League.
Hollywood Live Softball League.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, I'm a little older. I haven't done any of that stuff in a long time. But your enthusiasm makes you want to play. Like, oh my God, let's do something. Bye, everybody. End of the show. We'll see you later.
We're gonna go play softball now.
Play softball. But also, I want to ask you, in college, what did you study in college?
I was a communication studies.
That makes sense. Okay.
Makes sense. So in that, I kind of at first I thought I was going to be a dentist because I love to make people smile. So I wanted to be an orthodontist so that everyone could have nice, happy smiles. But then I realized that when you can communicate, you can make people smile that way as well. And
very true.
Yeah, and less science. So,
okay.
So it was really a great kind of way for me to have a diverse interest as I do. And now that I've gotten out of school a little bit more, I think that I actually use a lot what I've learned. People always talk bad about like the liberal arts of like, oh, communications, whatever. I'm like, look, when I'm talking to people, I know exactly how to read their body language. I know what's going on. Like, so.
It does come in handy.
It comes in handy.
It does come in handy. And she's a SoCal native. That's one reason we do good stuff.
Yes.
Not everybody's a transplant. Some of us are from here.
Yes, Inland Empire, IE, woo woo.
Were you the 909 or were you the 9551?
I'm 909.
909, so okay, yes. My sister, and they're from Rancho Cucamonga in Ontario.
That's me.
That. Yes.
Rancho.
She went to Etiwanda High School?
Yes, that's my rivals, though.
That's your rivals?
I went to Los Osos.
Okay. I know the area out there.
Go Grizzlies.
Okay, so now this initiative, this Club 42, like, okay, so of course the number, but I'm gonna let you kind of explain initially what this thing is about.
Okay, so Club 42 is a nonprofit. We are 3 years old now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And initially, I got approached in the summer of 2014. I'd only been out of college for 1 month.
Oh, wow.
And one of my business partners, this guy, Johnny Buck Lockwood, he comes up to me and says, I have this idea of where we want to mix kids from affluent areas and non-affluent areas, and we want them to just do baseball. And I was like, well, that sounds like kind of a cool idea. Okay, what are we doing? Like, I want to hear more. And initially, we had kind of like a training academy through the sport of baseball, obviously 42, Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
And what I soon learned after speaking to Johnny Buck Lockwood and his partner, Melissa Bowden, was that there was our angel, John Branca. His uncle played with Jackie Robinson,
Oh, wow.
and Ralph Branca, who, I don't know if you know the shot heard around the world. He pitched that shot heard around the world.
Yeah.
And he was actually Jackie's pallbearer in his funeral.
Oh, wow.
And so they were very close friends, and he recently passed.
Okay.
And for the concept of that friendship standing for all of the kids from different communities playing together, that's really what we've built this whole community on. So obviously we are a little bit more than baseball now. We actually help blend kids from different communities for sports, music, and dance.
Perfect.
We do kids events through Boys and Girls Clubs.
Okay. Good.
And we help provide tuition support for kids that are in our program.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and so there aren't, the thing that's been so great about 42 is really seeing these kids who wouldn't know each other otherwise playing sports together. So we have kids from like the Palisades and kids that are in Inglewood and all over.
Okay.
And we have a sports field that we were renovating in Inglewood at Rogers Park.
I live in Inglewood, so I know Rogers Park.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so at first there was no grass in the infield, there
Yeah,
was
I
no
remember that,
bases.
yeah.
So we kind of helped revive that field
Okay.
and kind of bring that to be like a centerpiece, while also, being able to help these kids have more placement in middle school.
Okay.
So we primarily focus on 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
That's what I asked
Yeah,
you, okay.
middle school kids, like that is our main focus.
Okay.
And we help support that, like, kind of the 8th grade area as they transition into high school. Because what we found is a lot of these groups are helping itty bitty kids,
Yep.
and they help high schoolers.
Yes.
And there's this kind of segment that needs additional help and support, because as you place yourself as a 7th and 8th grader, you're giving yourself a better opportunity for high school. And so what really just kind of started with, okay, we're meeting every once in a while. I was volunteering, and I soon learned that what I learned from softball could really help the program. And so at first I was just a baseball coach,
Okay.
and I was coaching boys, which was a very interesting experience.
Very different. They're not women, not girls. They're
Not
very different.
girls. And I had coaching experience, but to coach baseball and to have these parents really question what I know, which for me was really difficult, because
I'm sure.
I'm like, I was a D1 athlete. You
Yeah.
know, I played professionally after
Yes.
college. I know what I'm
What I'm talking
talking
about.
about. Yeah,
Hello.
but for them to get over the fact that it was a woman,
I'm sure. I'm
teaching
sure.
boys.
I'm sure.
yeah, that was difficult. But definitely, as I became older, I was able to kind of get more respect for what I knew. And the kids would get in the car and tell their parents, like, we like Coach Erin. We like Coach Erin. And then the parents would come up to me and say, my son really likes you. Or whatever you're telling the kids, they really like you in the dugout or whatever. So that would make me feel really good.
Good,
And over time, it's kind of been coaching parents in a way as well. Because really, what I experienced as an athlete, not a lot of people experience. I think what the stat is, like, less 1% of players play D1 sports.
Wow.
And so to have these parents who would really hope that their kids play D1 sports, I realized that was something that was really valuable. And I was really lucky to be partnered with, Johnny Lockwood and Melissa Bowden and John Branca, and have them really support me and stand by me even when things were getting questioned of how much can this young girl know.
Yeah.
I'm 23 when I started being involved.
Right.
And that soon, being a baseball coach, turned into, okay, she's our program director. Okay, now she's the executive director. And so that's been a really fun journey. But also, I've been able to really stand next to these parents, and especially for our first team.
Yeah.
I've known these kids since they were 11, some of them 10, now they're 14.
Right.
They're teenagers, they're big
Right,
boys.
right.
And to see them grow and I'm growing with them in a way. I think by the time they graduate high school will be when I'm 30.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of going together.
Yeah.
And it's really special. I love these kids.
So right now, has it been mostly boys? Do you have any girls?
Mostly boys, but we also have dance. And so we're mostly donor directed. So when people want to assist in our dance program, then we can kind of bring our dancers all together. But the kids that we've had that have been in our dance program are amazing. Truly amazing. I'm going to give a shout out. Some of our dancers actually were part of the new revived version of the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh.
So they're on Club Mickey Mouse. And
okay.
yeah, they're dancing at top studios. They are really, really, really talented kids. We actually had a time where we took the whole Club 42 community up to go see the MJ1 show in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids performed outside of the theater, the MJ1 theater, and they're, doing all these Michael Jackson moves and just really, really talented kids. I'm so proud to know them. And to really see them grow as well has been really special. So we have been able to help girls in the dance community. For me personally, I'm really excited to kind of see in this next year growing some sort of girls sports program. That would be definitely a goal. And I don't know if that's softball or if it's volleyball or I don't know where it is. It really would just depend on who would say, hey, we love the idea of blending these girls from these different communities, and this is the sport that we think will work best. We've also had people say soccer to us as well. So we'll see. That's yet to be determined, but that's for this year. So I'm excited. Stay tuned.
It's great because I always believe that we are a village. Especially as Black folks, we come from, and if you watch Black Panther and stuff, we come from tribes and villages, and the village helps each other.
Definitely.
And I think it's great that you're going back in. You guys are going back in, and you're helping the village.
Yes, and what's the most special part of it is we had a time where one of the kids from the Palisades is sitting on the bench next to one of our Black kids. And I don't even know what city he's from, but he's from more of the LA area, West LA. And they're sitting together, and he's like, "Oh, I need a pick." And the kid goes, "What's a pick?"
I know.
So we had a whole conversation about what a pick is, and someone else saying, "I wish my hair was like Odell Beckham Jr." This nice bleached blonde, super kid is like, "I want Odell Beckham Jr.'s hair," and I'm sitting on the bench. I'm like, "This is why we're doing this, right?" Because these conversations that you're not even gonna know these kids, and not saying LA's really diverse, but it's different when you're teammates, and it's different when there's a comfort level, and I think that's been a really special part of it. I
think sports is a great equalizer in that way anyway, because then because you're a team, the color kind of goes away. But I like also that after and before there is conversations happening, because what happens, a lot of people who see just themselves, whether it's Black or white or Asian or whatever, you're used to just that.
Yes.
So conversations would never come up. Things would never even come to you because you have no reason to confront it or even think about it.
Right. And I think that's kind of the downfall of being in a more homogenous society.
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, LA, we're really fortunate that it's already very there's a lot of diversity.
Yes, we're lucky.
We're very lucky. But I think also in that diversity, being able to be really comfortable having conversations and going to each other's houses, because I think it's in public spaces, everyone's diverse. But going to someone's house and eating pizza together and driving them to the game, and as the parents being able to communicate with one another as well. And it's not just Black kids and white kids. We have Latino kids as well. And one of our kids, he's such a special individual, is been working with his parents who don't even speak English, and and he's the main, he's so responsible. He does all of his emails. He's 13, 14 years old and is on email. This is what we're doing. I'm
hire him.
Right. So special.
Hello.
Special kids. Yeah. So I think that's been really great. And then also I love that we've recently had more partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club. We had an event with over 300 kids this past Halloween, which we called Thrilloween. And we turned the whole Boys and Girls Club into a multi-screen theater.
Oh, cool.
We had 4 screens going, and we're showing the Michael Jackson Halloween special. They had a red carpet for the kids.
Of course.
They performed. It was amazing. So that's when we're able to really have more reach with our program, and it's not so individualized, but more so of saying, okay, how can we help a great amount of kids do something really fun and special that they'll remember forever? And recently I just saw the folks at the Santa Monica Boys and Girls Club, and they told me the kids are still talking about it. They're still talking about that event. It was so fun.
Now my question is for you and for the folks out there who are tuning in and watching this, what can people do if they want to help? 'Cause you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
It's a nonprofit.
It's nonprofit.
Nonprofit. They need people to believe in them with dollars
Amen.
and cents. So what can people do if they want to get involved?
You know, I think at this point right now, it would be great to have people who were wanting. We need people that are going to really help us grow the idea of the nonprofit. So
Okay.
someone who like believes in what you're saying and what we're about blending kids from different communities and saying, you know what? I have a dance studio and I would love to host
Okay.
dancers.
Okay.
I'm a choreographer and I want to donate my time to teach kids. And like, you know what I've really found, which is so interesting, is the donating of time. I get it, time is money, but like donating time is so crucial. It's almost more than the dollars because they're not everywhere, but you can find
Right.
kids that need assistance. It's not hard to find a kid that needs some help.
Nope.
It's hard to find a grown-up that wants to help those kids without being like,
Right.
what are we doing?
Right.
How long?
Yes,
And not looking at
yes.
their clock.
Right, or their phone.
Yeah, but being present. Because kids, especially kids that have two working parents, as most kids do, or one working parent, they need adults who are going to be present. So,
Well, I'm telling you right now, on camera, I'm saying something to you. If you ever want somebody to come and speak, I'm a certified life coach. You want to speak about media
That
or
would be
being an
amazing.
author, because I have books, I publish books and things, I will come and speak.
that would be amazing.
I'll donate my time.
I
I'm
love
putting my
that.
money in my mouth. I'm putting my time in my mouth is.
We need it.
So
honestly.
we'll work something out. If you ever want, I will come and speak to kids.
I love that. I'm gonna hold you to it. We'll take pictures and send it to everyone.
Yes, exactly. But I'm serious. I'd love to. I think there are probably some kids who might want to go into TV or
Yeah.
go into radio or some that write. I mean, I do spoken word stuff.
I know we do.
Yeah.
I know we do. I will
Okay.
take you up on that.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So
Thank
folks
you.
should follow suit. I'm leading the charge.
Sports coaches,
Yes.
media training, that's also great. You know, even I think I dance, like we talked about, helping grow a girls program.
Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, like let's help get some girl power going
The
on.
time is now. Anyway.
Yeah, the time is now.
The time is now.
That's I would love to get
Yes.
some girls doing
Okay.
something.
Girl stuff. Come on, folks, do it. And you need to contact me. I'll connect you with her. But where can they actually find you if they want to talk about this Club 42 stuff?
So our website is go42.org. Super easy.
Yes.
You also could. I'll just put my Go42 email out there because it's simple. It's e@go42.org.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I ask my guests the same two questions. I've done it 103 times before. And I never prepped them. As you guys at home watch the show know, I never prepped them. So I believe in language. And your communications, language, all that stuff. So my first question to you, what word or phrase should we not say anymore?
You know what word or phrase we shouldn't say anymore?
Tell me.
Is can't.
It's a great one.
I
It's
just
a classic. It's a classic.
I don't believe in can't and shouldn't and then all of those of things that like say that we are
Those are
limited.
ifs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't limit yourself.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good phrase. Okay, so on the other side of that, what word or phrase should we say more of?
We should say more of I will.
Like that.
I'm trying. I will do
Blank.
X.
Yes.
Yeah. Try is great. It's great to try to do things, but it's also great to say that you will do it.
Right.
Speak it into existence. You will.
Also, it forces you to have self-commitment. When you say
Totally.
will.
Exactly.
When you say try, you can back out. Well, I said I'd try. But when you say I will, you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this.
And
It holds
it
them
also
accountable.
is saying you're not afraid if it can't happen. Circumstances happen sometimes
Oh,
where
yeah.
we can't achieve the things that we want to achieve. But I think it's really powerful for our mind to say, like, I will achieve X. And if circumstances don't allow that to happen, I can pivot.
Yeah.
Trying is, you don't have to be accountable.
No, not to be accountable. And I don't
You
like
have to
that.
be accountable.
Mm-hmm. Coach Erin, you're the best.
You're so sweet.
You are just like, it's amazing. And I wish I was 13 years old and I could play on one of your teams.
You're so sweet.
And then go out there and do stuff. It's okay. I didn't have that when I was 13 years old. So I didn't have a coach like you out there who's doing that. I think it's amazing.
I'm so obsessed with the kids that are. I mean, we have three part of our baseball
Wow.
program, and the program that I've known the kids since they were 11.
Yeah.
All of their parents, those kids, they are just so special to me. I just can't wait to see what they all become, because I know they're all going to be someone really special.
Well, it just makes me happy as an older person to see that young people today do care about their community.
Kids are everything. They are who I'm going to have to deal with them too. They're going to be adults one day. Everyone becomes an adult.
That's very
We want to
true.
have great adults, right?
No, we do.
We
No,
have good
seriously,
people.
we do.
We need to have good people.
We do.
And it takes the people to go back. You have to go
You have to
back.
Mhm.
You can't just like turn around.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I do. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome
This
back
is
anytime.
wonderful.
Welcome back anytime,
Thank you.
guys. And so, again, tell me where they can find you on social media if they want to.
So you can find me on social media on Twitter, ErinJW42. It's ERINJW42. That's the same as my Instagram. And for Club 42 info, just go to go42.org.
And of course, Breaking Into is on the Facebook page. You can go there and like us and follow us. And more information about her and Club 42 will be on that page. So I'll make sure that everything is like a click away. I make it very easy for you to click and you'll be able to go to see what she's talking about. Also, all our episodes are there. I post them there. They're also on iTunes for audio, and they're on YouTube under Black Hollywood Live, of course. Thanks to Black Hollywood Live for having us here every week, of course. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are, at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. And I'll see you next time.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.